Tonight when the sun goes down, I am going to flip a switch. Light will flood the room, and I will not think twice about it. But for 99.9% of human history, that switch did not exist. When the sun set, the world went dark. I could not even see my own hand in front of my face. But modern humans almost never experience this. For over 300,000 years, every single one of my ancestors spent roughly half their life in near total darkness. They did not even have candles for most of that time. Just the black sky, the stars, and whatever fire they could keep alive. So what did they actually do for all those hours? The answer changes everything I think I know about sleep storytelling and what it means to be human. I will start with fire, because fire is the reason any of this was possible. The earliest solid evidence of humans controlling fire comes from a cave in South Africa roughly 1 million years ago. But fire did not just keep people warm. Fire completely restructured the human day. Before fire, my ancestors were like every other primate. When the sun went down, I climbed a tree or found a safe spot, and I stayed still. Moving at night meant becoming food. My eyes are terrible in the dark compared to the predators that hunted my ancestors. Wildcats, hyenas, wolves, all of them could see just fine. Fire changed that equation overnight. A campfire creates a circle of safety, roughly 30 feet across. Inside that circle, predators will not come. Outside that circle, I would die. This is not made up. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer groups have documented that people who wander away from the fire at night are much more likely to be killed by wild animals even today. But here is what I find fascinating. Fire did not just protect early humans at night. It gave them something they never had before: extra hours. Think about this. Before fire, the useful day ended at sunset. That is maybe 12 hours in summer and as few as 8 in winter. Fire suddenly added 2 to 4 usable hours to every single day. And over thousands of generations, those extra hours changed my species. In 2014, a researcher published a major study. This person spent years recording conversations among a group of Bushmen in a vast desert. They are one of the last groups on Earth still living close to the original human lifestyle. What the researcher found was striking. During the day, about 80% of conversations were practical. Who is hunting where? Which plants are ready? Complaints, logistics, and trading. Daytime talk was work. But at night around the fire, the entire character of conversation changed. At night, 81% of conversations were stories. Tales of people in distant places, adventures, myths about the origins of the world, and jokes that made the whole camp laugh. The researcher argued that conversation around the fire is where human culture was born. The campfire was the original theater, the original classroom, and the original church. It is where humans learn to think beyond the immediate present and imagine things that do not exist yet. It is where I became human. But the night was not just about stories around the fire. There was something else happening. Something that scientists only rediscovered in the last 30 years. I was not designed to sleep the way I sleep right now. In 2001, a historian published a paper that changed sleep science. This expert had spent 16 years digging through historical records and found something nobody expected. Over 500 mentions spanning centuries. Prayer books from the 1400s, court records, diaries, medical texts, letters from ordinary people, and even passages in ancient poems. All of them mentioned the same thing: first sleep and second sleep. Before the industrial age, people did not sleep in one solid block. They went to bed shortly after sunset, slept for about 4 hours, then woke up. They stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night. Then they went back to sleep for another 4 hours until dawn. This was not a sleep problem. This was normal. This was how every human on the planet slept for thousands of years. And what did people do during that wakeful period in the middle of the night? Everything. A 16th century doctor recommended that couples try to have children during this window because they would do it better. People visited neighbors. They thought about their dreams while they were still fresh. They wrote, or they simply lay in bed in the dark and thought. A medical manual from the 1500s advised patients that the best time to study and reflect was during the watch, as they called it, the quiet hours between first and second sleep, when the mind was calm and the world was still. Now, historians had been reading these references for centuries, but they kept translating first sleep as something else, because they could not imagine that people ever slept differently than I do now. The assumption was so deep that translators literally translated ancient writings wrong to make it fit their modern experience. But then science confirmed what history had been saying all along. In 1992, a medical expert at a National Health Institute ran an experiment. He took a group of volunteers and removed all artificial light from their lives. For 1 month, they experienced 14 hours of darkness every night, just like my ancestors would have before fire extended the evening. Within weeks, every single participant settled into the same pattern. 4 hours of sleep, then 1 to 3 hours of quiet wakefulness, then 4 more hours of sleep. Nobody told them to do this. Their bodies just did it as if some ancient program had been waiting inside them the whole time. Buried under centuries of artificial light, science measured their hormone levels during the wakeful period and found something remarkable. The participants were in a state unlike any normal waking state. Their brains were producing high levels of a specific hormone released during deep relaxation. They described feeling peaceful, reflective, and almost meditative. It was not just a gap in sleep, it was its own distinct state of consciousness, one that most modern humans have never experienced. So what killed it? The answer is simpler than I would think. Light. In the 1600s, cities began installing street lamps. A famous king wanted to reduce crime, so his city was one of the first. Others followed. The night, which had been a place of danger and fear, slowly became safe to travel. Then came cheaper candles, then gas lamps in the 1800s. Then in 1879, a famous inventor brought the electric light bulb to the public. And within a generation, the night, as humans had known it for 300,000 years, was gone. And here is the part nobody talks about. The word curfew comes from an old word. It literally means cover fire. In old towns, a bell would ring at night, signaling everyone to cover or put out their fires. Not because of safety, but because night was supposed to be dark. Night was when I slept. Night was when I was vulnerable. For most of history, being out at night was suspicious. In many old European cities, walking outside after dark without a lantern was literally illegal. Night belonged to criminals and the supernatural. People feared it in a way that is almost impossible for me to understand today. And then I conquered it. I flooded it with light. And I thought that was progress. But here is what I lost. Modern humans are exposed to artificial light an average of 7 to 8 hours after sunset. This light, especially the blue light from screens, stops my body from producing the hormone that regulates sleep. My body does not know the difference between a light bulb and the sun. When light hits my eyes at 11 at night, my brain thinks it is daytime. It delays sleep signals. It fragments my sleep. It disrupts the natural rhythm that evolved over millions of years. Researchers have found that people who go camping for just 1 week with no artificial light at all have their sleep cycles reset by nearly 2 hours. Their bodies start preparing for sleep at sunset instead of hours after it. That is all it takes for 300,000 years of programming to come back. I did not just change when I sleep. I eliminated an entire phase of human consciousness. That quiet reflective state between first and second sleep. The state that test subjects described as peaceful and meditative does not exist anymore for most people. Instead, I have sleep issues and I treat it like a medical problem. But what if it is not a problem at all? What if waking up at 2 in the morning and lying there in the dark is not my body breaking down? What if it is my body remembering what it was built to do? For 300,000 years, my ancestors spent their nights in a rhythm that modern science is only beginning to understand. They gathered around fires and told stories that built civilizations. They slept in 2 phases with a window of quiet reflection in between. They lived in darkness so complete that the galaxy of stars was not something I had to drive to a national park to see. It was just the sky. And every night, when they woke in the dark between first and second sleep, they lay there in silence and thought about their lives, their dreams, and the world they would wake up to in the morning. I traded all of that for a light switch, and most of us never even knew it was gone. Viewer discretion is advised. The information provided in this video is for reference and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as personal financial or medical advice. Any financial decisions I make based on this are my own responsibility, so I should always consult with a certified professional before taking action. If I found this deep dive valuable, I will make sure to subscribe to my channel to join me for the next story.